Hello, today is June 8th, 2011. We're meeting today with Mr. Gerald Williamson at his home in Fleming, Colorado. My name is Brad Hoops. I'm the interviewer for the Northern Colorado Veterans History Project. Welcome, Gerald, and thanks for sitting down today to tell your story.
Well, thank you.
Let's start out, if we could. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your date of birth, where you were born, a little bit about your family.
Okay, I was born in August 29th, 1921. And I was born in the little town of Yetter, Iowa. My mother, we was on a farm, my mother and dad, I was in high school. I was born there and I went to Auburn High School and I graduated in 1939.
Now, did you have any brothers or sisters?
No.
You're single? Okay, yeah. So Auburn's at a nearby town, or did you guys move? Or
No, Yetter was a little town like Fleming is here, 2.5 miles from our farm. And Auburn was 7 miles, and that was the closest high school.
Okay. So basically you grew up in that area and went to the
Yes.
school system there. Before we get into your military experience, one question I always like to ask around that time period, historical event, was your family affected much by the Great Depression, or do you have many memories of the Great Depression?
Yes, I remember it was rough. My dad lost his farm during the Depression. And one nice thing about it was on the farm we had plenty of to eat and raised our own garden and stuff and meat and milk, and so it was rough.
Oh boy, wow. So you graduated in 1939, and what did you do after you got out of school?
I went. I helped. Helped my dad on the farm. We farmed a half section of land, and then it was. My dad was a horseman, and he farmed it with horses and a hired man, and I just stayed there with the folks on the farm
Until the war broke out?
Until I graduated from high school, and I knew that we was going to be in war.
Oh, really? You just had that sense about that?
In 39 and 40, it was Germany, and I graduated in 39, and I knew I was going to have to go, so I wasn't of age, and I wanted to join the Navy, and my mother, she balked on it, but Dad says, sign for him. He's got to have a sign for him.
Yeah.
Well, I went to Des Moines, Iowa, and I had in school, nerves, I think is what it was. I stammered quite a bit, and when they asked me a question and I da 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 and that and this and that, couldn't say it. And they told me to forget the Navy and go back on the farm, that the Army would probably draft me in.
Oh boy.
So then I rented a quarter acre of land my dad signed for me, and helped him. And I done that until I went into service.
Well, now that begs the question. Here's a farm boy from landlocked Iowa. How did you come to want to join the Navy?
I don't know. I just I knew I was going to have a place to sleep and meals.
Oh, okay, yeah.
My dad was he didn't go to World War I, but he was on call. But it ended before he got to go, and he was telling me some of this stuff.
Right.
What the infantry and
Oh,
this
right,
and
yeah.
that.
Fair enough. So you came back, you leased that land and you farmed, and then the war broke out. And you got drafted after the war broke out, or how did?
I got drafted.
Yeah. Now, before we get into that, Do you remember where you were and what you were thinking when you heard about Pearl Harbor?
It was on a Sunday afternoon. This is Iowa time. 4:30, somewhere in there. And we milked quite a few cows. And I was going down to the milk barn and getting ready to milk when they announced it. I had a radio in the milk parlor and they announced that. And then I knew time was coming.
Yeah. Then how soon after that then did you get your draft notice?
I went
roughly?
in 42, August of 42.
Oh, so just right there, almost directly. Well, now being on the farm, could you got an agriculture deferment?
I could have, but my dad said you're going to have to go anyway. Just well go now. And
I mean, as an only child and a farm, I would have thought, yeah.
no, I didn't want it. There was too many young guys that their folks had a lot of money and got them drafted and got them preferred,
right?
And this and that, and I didn't want that.
I'll be darned. So you got your notice in August, and how soon after that did you ship out to boot camp? Was it relatively? I mean,
that's when I went in. That's when I went into the service.
Oh, you did? Okay.
42.
Oh, okay.
I got it in May or June. I forget. Time gets, but
yeah, sure.
May or June.
That give you enough time to put your affairs in order as far as harvest and getting land and.
Dad had a hired man, and they could do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And then where did you ship off to?
I went to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, and from Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, we was there 2 or 3 days, and then a group of us shipped to Camp Walters, Texas, and I was there for 13 weeks.
That's where you did your basic?
That's our basic.
How was that transition for you going from civilian life to military life?
It was different. It was, of course, can say I was in good shape. There was young men there was worse than I was, but taking the orders and this in the sirs and all that, it was different.
Yeah.
But I guess that's military.
Yeah. Being away from home, probably for one of the first times in your life, was there any tinge of homesickness at all?
Yes, I was homesick.
Yeah.
And of course, now we weren't allowed to call home.
Right.
And but now with cell phones,
email,
all that. But
so after you were done with your basic, where'd you go from there then?
We finished basic, and they shipped us from Texas to Pine Camp, New York.
Oh.
The coldest spot in the U.S., I think. And there was a group of us there, but they didn't know what to do with us. And then there was one day they called us out and stood in line and read names to what companies we was going to end up. The 45th Division, the 157, was in Pine Camp, New York, and I was notified that I would be with the 157 anti-tank company of the 45th Division. And there was more of us, but I mean that's,
so the 157th was an anti-tank, did you say?
it was the Infantry Division, but anti-tank company was I was assigned to.
Oh, okay. If
I made that, probably goofed that up, but it was, and then we come back to Camp Pickett, Virginia, and we done amphibious training there, mountain training and amphibious training in Camp Pickett, Virginia.
And
then
from there
we got our orders to go overseas. We didn't know where.
Now, and during this time, did you have any sort of leave to come home at all?
No,
Hadn't been home?
I was never home from the time I went in till I got discharged.
Is that right?
Just,
So there in Virginia, you guys boarded ship then?
we done a lot of training then. It's 43 in June when we loaded up on to go overseas. In our convoy, I volunteered to help load ships because we had our weapons was a 4x4 Dodge pickup with a little 37 millimeter anti-tank mounted on behind full, and we loaded ship and stayed with the slept on the ship and ate with the Navy boys, and we was there probably 2 or 3 weeks, and then all the troops come, and there was over 1,000 ships in the convoy.
Oh, that must have been a sight to see.
Left Newport News, Virginia,
Yeah.
and 21 days from Newport News, Virginia to Oran, Africa.
Well, let's once again. I go back to this farm boy from landlocked Iowa. How was that crossing for you? Did you get your sea legs, or how was the?
When we volunteered, I volunteered. There were several of us volunteered to help load ship, and got acquainted with the mess hall cook or whatever they call him. I don't know what, but he wanted us to sign up to stay on in below and send food up from the coolers to the kitchens. And he says you won't have to do calisthenics or be on the deck, and and you'll be down here where it's smooth, and you'll get all the fresh fruit you want. And so we done that and never got seasick.
Oh, good, good. Was there along the way? Was there any problems with German subs?
We had 2 alerts, but the troop ships was in the center. We had battleships and destroyers and tankers, but it was quite a sight.
Yeah, I can't imagine that sight of all those ships at sea. Wow, I'll be darned.
We had 2 alerts that I recall. I know that they.
Well, that had to be kind of uncomfortable, being at the bottom of the ship. Boy, if you would have got struck, you wouldn't have gotten out.
Some of the Navy boys says this is the safest place to be.
Is that right?
On the deck, he says if the ship's gonna sink, the shells would have got you before anyway. So they just.
I'll be darned.
But it just
What were your living conditions like on the ship with all those men on the?
It was good. Hammock was different.
They were stacked.
But they ate good.
What'd you do to pass the time away when you weren't working? I mean, with all that.
Well, then when they got everything, we'd just go and sleep in our hammocks and get up early the next morning and start sending food up, on the elevators.
So you guys land in Africa. Take your story from there.
Okay, we landed Oran, Africa, and done a amphibious landing. Took our unloaded ship, put it in whatever the land. I don't know what they.
LST. Or?
Yeah, LSTs or whatever they were.
Landing ships.
Landing ships, and made a mock landing at Oran, Africa.
Okay, so that wasn't an actual battle landing. It was just
training.
Okay.
And we was 2 weeks, pretty near 2 weeks there, and then when we got after that, we found out we was going to invade Sicily, and that was the real McCoy.
Well, I'm sorry I keep going back to this, but I keep going back to this farm boy from Iowa. I imagine, like many in your generation growing up, you probably didn't travel too far away from the farm growing up. Now here you were, it zigzagged across the country, and now you're in Africa. That must have been a fascinating or an interesting thing to.
It was.
What was Africa like?
Oran was filthy.
Oh, is that right?
It was filthy. It was, we'd go in on the sand, you know, and do maneuvers, and it was, Oran wasn't the best place to be.
Oh,
But they weren't shooting back at us.
yeah. Wow. Wow. So now you've done some training and you've got your orders. You know, you guys are going to Sicily. Take her from there.
We the weather was fairly rough. It was a invasion, and we was going over we was putting our trucks in nets and dropping it down in the boats and the guns, and all of a sudden some searchlights come on lit us up. You could have read a newspaper, and I was startled. I was scared, and we had the battleship Missouri was with us, and it was behind us and going broadside, and man, it opened up, and
I heard that's a pretty spectacular sound. Those shells firing
and you could see that boat rock back on shooting broadside. You know, it just but the searchlights were gone.
Wow.
Then destroyers too, but I mean the battleship Missouri was to our flank. And
well, they're shooting to soften up the beach for you then, or is that what the?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's.
So was it a nighttime invasion then, or?
It was a nighttime, but it was daylight when it was supposed to have been a surprise invasion, but they never are. But that's the way it goes. It was scary.
So you said you loaded your trucks down into the landing crafts, and then you would climb down. And you guys went on the beach in the landing craft.
See, what we was doing, I got ahead of myself. After we got these loaded, we had to waterize them, put stacks on for the exhaust and for the intake, the carburetor, and put pipes up above so we could drive them, take the fan belts off, and so they would waterproof the engines, and then when we got on shore on beach, then we'd take that stuff off, and if you'd find a place to take it off.
Wow. Can you, if you'd like, can you describe what it was like landing on the beach, that going in that day? I mean, for people like myself that's never been in battle or been shot at.
It was very little mortar fire. It could have been a surprise invasion. Of course, the Italians, they weren't fighters anyway, but the sand was rough to move in, and a lot of small arms fire, but then when we got off of the beach, we got in and set up our gun emplacements for tanks in case they come in. But my greatest fear was we never fought against any flamethrowers in Sicily, and the Italians had flamethrowers, and they were wicked.
Oh boy. Yeah. So that the initial invasion went fairly good from your point of view. I mean, as far as okay.
It was rough going at times.
Yeah.
But,
and then you just started working your way across Sicily then, and
then we made another. Then we come back to where we landed, Salerno. I think it's time. It's been many years.
Yeah,
ago.
fair enough. Yeah.
But then we we loaded on these barges, I can't think the name of them. But then we went around the coast and come in from the backside of Sicily and hit that beach and take some pressure off.
And how was that one? I heard
that one went pretty good.
Well, wasn't there a period of time it was kind of scary that you guys were going to get cut off? And
yes.
Yeah.
Somebody goofed that they cut our supplies off, and it was. They made a lot of mistakes too.
Yeah, yeah. But once again, it was a pretty smooth one in regards to his, to your point of view.
And then we went in the boot of, from there to the boot of Italy. And
Okay, so you guys took got the Germans and the Italians off of Sicily, and then what was that like? Did you have any interaction with any of the local Sicilians at all? Or?
The war was, if this, what we got now is not a war, it's a conflict. If you shoot anybody, you can get court-martialed. But we were trained that anybody that you thought was going to get you, you try to get them first.
Sure.
I mean, it was the way it was. And we've seen very, very few civilians.
Is that right?
They kept in their little villages, and we've seen very few of them.
And what physically, what was it like there? As far as, with a lot of damage with the villages, and can you describe what you were seeing there?
There was more damage to the cities, the villages, the country out in the country villages. If you didn't draw, if they didn't fire from you, you left them alone.
Oh, okay.
I mean, but they, if they wanted to draw fire, they would, and that was a bad thing for them to do, because with our artillery and that, it was, could clean them out pretty. Of course, those villages, they all live in this circle and go out and do their farming from there. All their livestock is.
How was that comparing? You know, an Iowa farmer looking at a Sicilian farmer, different, totally different type of farming.
Yeah, they're different.
Yeah.
And they harvest their wheat with a scythe and tied it with wheat straw and make bundles out of it. It was backwards, I thought.
Yeah.
Where we had 4-horse binder and cut our oats with and then shock them by hand. But they didn't have that modernized equipment.
I'll be darned. And during this time, what were your living conditions? Were you guys living in trenches or tents or?
Well, just foxholes.
Foxholes, yeah.
We be in a gun emplacement, and we'd have foxholes and sea rations. They weren't bad, but
How roughly how long were you guys in Sicily?
oh, I don't recall
Yeah.
right now. But we kept it going,
Yeah.
and then we went in, like I say, went into Italy, and then we got to. There was some fierce battles there, and the Battle of the Caves is what I remember the most of. That's what the one I got involved in, and it was, well, it was hell, let's put it that way. It was, I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but we was relieving the English, and I don't know what they think of it. They was turning lights on and leaving, and it was, well, I am getting ahead of myself. From the time we left Sicily to into Italy, we was given half tracks, more armor on it, and a 57 millimeter, which had a lot more firepower.
Okay.
And these little 37s shoot at a tank and it just ricochet off. Then you was opened up for battle. But then they give us these half tracks. They was white engines, and they were nice. And we was relieving the English, and the driver in a half-track, like I'm sitting in a chair here, gas tanks on each side
Oh,
and
boy.
on the back.
Oh,
Of course,
boy.
it was padded, but there was over 100 gallon of gasoline you was setting.
Driving a powder keg pretty much, huh?
Yeah, with all the ammo inside of it yet. And we was waiting there for them on a trail, and they called it a road, but I seen you could hear the some planes above, and all of a sudden I seen some tracers hit the road up quite a ways ahead of us, and I hollered at my crew, I says, take the ditch or get out of here. And I thought I had out of gear, but I must have hit it in gear, and when I left, it kept moving slow, and it run into the gun ahead of me. The barrel went through the radiator.
Oh, boy.
And we got out of that all right, and then the captain, he come back to me and he says, can you get the gun in placement? And I said, yes, I can get the gun in placement. And so I got the gun in placement, and then went, he said, can you get it back? And I said, I hope so. I don't know how many miles it was from our outfit. I mean, but we was probably 10 miles from to the line. And I took the fan off, and I took an army blanket and we wedged it in the radiator, and thought we had stopped pretty well, and it was. And I took 4 cans of water, 20-gallon of water with me, but I unloaded the ammo and all that, and got the gun in place before I took off. And so then I went back to service company with the half-track to get it repaired. And the Germans counterattacked that morning, and that was.
Yeah, but you were fortunately back at the.
No, I was back.
Oh, boy, huh?
And then that battle went on 2 or 3 days, and then I volunteered because they was running short of supplies and ammo and food and water and all that. Not my squad, but the whole regiment. And I volunteered to go up and take supplies up, and they give me a 6x6 truck, tandem truck, front wheel drive, a big army truck, and I filled it up with ammo and water, and volunteered to take it up. And each truck, I was a 50 caliber machine gunner is what I took for that, but you can't drive and run so the transportation corporal, he volunteered to go with me and be my machine gunner. And I told him, I said, you know what you're getting into? And he said, yeah. He said, I got a good driver. I can run that machine gun for you.
I'll be darned.
And so went up there, and we had a lot unloaded, and we had a lot of wounded. And I made 3 trips
Wow.
with hauling wounded back and taking supplies up.
Huh.
And that was.
Now, where was the rest of your crew at this point? Were they back?
Well, they was all up there on the.
Oh, were they? Oh.
See, that turned out to be the Battle of the Caves. We didn't know we was close to those caves, and that's what they call it, the Battle of the Caves. And I might be getting ahead of my story a little bit, but
That's okay.
That's what it was. And
Did you get a chance when you were making those runs to get over and see your guys at all, or?
Well, no, I didn't. They just had we just went up there where I thought my crew was, and they weren't there. Some of them pulled guns into the entrance of these caves and to protect, try to protect them. But it was rough, but they went through the hell part of it. I didn't, but.
Then, so after that battle was over,
Well, then it just, I forget. Then there was the Anzio invasion.
Now, between you're talking about these invasions and battles. Between that, were you ever able to pull back for some R&R, or was it just?
No, we was 190 days on the line at one time. I think it was 170 or 190 days on the line. We never just wasn't battling all the time, but just holding the flank open, or so they couldn't cut us off and that.
So Anzio was next, which was no picnic.
Anzio, it was, as far as the beach landing wasn't that bad, but it was all winter long there, and just from bombs dropping and personnel bombs. There was nothing to destroy but men, and equipment and personnel bombs will do just as good as anything, but it.
Well, let me ask you, in these various situations, and you said a 190-day stretch there. The way I see it, you were sleeping out you weren't sleeping, probably getting enough sleep. You were out in the elements all the time. You probably weren't eating right. Hygiene probably wasn't the best. I mean, each individual one of those things would do a man in, but all this was under the umbrella of war. How do you think you functioned or made it through that?
Willpower, I guess. You just, I don't know. I never, you just took it for granted. That was, I know I did. I just felt, sleep at night, pray, and the next morning I'd wake up, pray again. I made it through the night, and it just, it's rough.
Yeah.
Just we didn't have it any harder than the rest of them, but it just, but I can truthfully say that I was glad when we left our basic camp. We counted off 1, 2, 1, 2, and I started with 1, and 1 took a step forward, and 2 took a step back, and right face to left face, and all the 1s went to European theater, and the 2s went to the
Pacific?
Pacific.
Oh boy.
That's the way they split us up. And I was dreading having to go to Pacific, which I was thankful I got to go to European theater.
Well, I don't know what either option was. I mean, I do so many of these interviews, and everybody seems to think they've got it nicer than the other guy, and everybody's just pointing in the other direction. Boy, I'm glad I'm in the European theater, not in the Pacific theater, and the guy is up in the air. Boy, I'm glad I'm not down in the infantry. The infantry looks up, I'm glad I'm not in the airplane. Nobody had it good. I don't know if it was any better, best, or.
I'm not that big of a person, but I didn't like that hand-to-hand combat. That's what I'd have had if I'd have got into the South Pacific, I'm sure.
Wow.
So I was fortunate there.
So take your story then from Anzio once.
Okay. It was cold and wet, miserable.
Did you have proper clothing for that?
Oh yes, we had proper clothing. There was one time there was the ones that pulled guns in Mount Venafro was what it was called. And we had troops in the mountains, and they give us burros. We had 4 burros, each driver had 4 burros apiece, and we would load them with ammo and supplies and go up this mountain pass with supplies to them. And it was cold and damp, and that was miserable. No, you couldn't warm up your C rations or anything because any light would draw fire, you know, and it just but that was bad. Then they give us our feet would get cold and wet, and they issued these snow packs. Well, they was the worst thing that the Army ever put out. Your feet would sweat in them with wool socks, and then you'd quit walking and better take your boots off and your socks off at night and put them on down your body to dry them off. If you didn't, you freeze your feet.
Wow.
I froze my right foot, but
Is that something you got treatment for, or you just had to?
They didn't. I didn't want to go back. The medic wanted me to go back to the hospital, and of course, if you went back to the hospital and you got released, you went to a repo depot, and you would never get back with your own outfit, and I didn't want that.
Yeah.
I'd just sat in the foxhole and just rubbed my foot, just kept rubbing it, and you learn to take care of yourself.
Yeah. Huh.
You better, or you wouldn't. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here today, that's for sure.
Does your foot ever give you any problems?
No, it don't.
It got better?
My toenails are crooked and grow, and my toes are twisted and that. But it don't give me any. I don't get any medical or anything from it. It just.
Wow. And then continue on. Then from there, where'd you guys?
Well, let's see. Then we got into Naples, and I don't recall any battles between there. It was just Naples was a seaport on the coast, and there was some scrimmages there, but we must not have been in too many of them. But then we got to Rome, outside of Rome, and they pulled us back, and we got to spend bivouac outside of Rome, and got to go in and see Rome.
Oh, that must have been interesting.
It was interesting. We went in. It was, well, you seen civilians, people, instead of, they.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And there wasn't, as far as I recall, there was not a shell dropped on Rome or anything. It just.
So you got a chance to see all the ancient sites, and
we went into the temples where they had a wall around them of
the Colosseum.
The Colosseum, and we would stack our rifles outside, and one of us would have to stand guard for the rifle. They didn't want to stake our rifles in there, and we'd stand guard on those till they come back out. We all got to go in, but it was more of a rest area for us anything else, but we got to see it.
Wow. Oh, fascinating. So hopefully, as well as a chance to get some good food and a shower
Yeah,
and
right.
just get rested up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which if you want to take a bath, you use your helmet and try to warm up some water. Spit bath.
How was communications back home to your folks and such? We talked earlier about communications
Well,
now, but
when we had time, we'd write. Of course, we had free mail,
the V-mail.
V-mail,
Uh-huh.
and we could write. If you wanted to write 3 or 4 a day, if you had time, you could, you know, to everybody. And I kept contact writing my folks quite a bit. There was one time there, I don't know where it was at now, but they hadn't heard of me for about 30 days, and then I got a letter. No, it was from the Red Cross or something that told me to write my folks, and I thought I had, but I didn't. Things.
Well, for those that will watch this, I mean, we talked about today. We were talking earlier about cell phones and email nowadays. Quickly, how long roughly would it take for a letter to, and particularly with you guys on the move and on the front line? How would is that pretty reliable?
I don't know. It'd take a couple weeks, and it'd take that long to get mail back. When we were pulled back, or they'd have mail call up on the line, you know, they'd bring supplies up and they'd bring mail up. You might get 2 or 3 letters same time, but I mean it was communication was well, it was all we knew. It was,
yeah, right.
and I think it was better then than it is now.
Is that right? Yeah.
I mean, because they know everything was going on minutes after it, and I don't think that's good.
And particularly in your case, your letters were censored. You couldn't write. You couldn't tell your folks where you were. So,
no. And they was if we did, they'd mark it out, cross it out, cut it out, or something. It just.
So now take your story after your R&R in Rome. Where did you guys go from there then?
Then we went to in France.
Oh, the invasion of southern France?
No, we was in from the Anzio yet. We didn't leave Anzio, but anyway, I don't recall anymore.
Yeah.
We went into France, and the last invasion we was on, 3 days after the Normandy invasion, we hit the southern coast of France.
Right. Okay.
And that was the easiest, not a shot fired or anything, but 2 or 3 days later, we caught hell.
Oh boy!
But what it done was split up the Germans they had 2 fronts to take care of. And
now, were you guys told? Did you guys know about the Normandy invasion? Were you aware of that?
yes, they. Mm-hmm.
And how was that? How would you get your news or information? Was there would they
just the captains would.
Oh, okay.
The captain or our lieutenant would tell us, you know, kept us up, and they told us the Normandy invasion, and they was having a rough go of it, and said we'll be prepared because we're the landing barges. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay. Yeah.
Landing barges would be here to pick us up, and would hit down coast, and we did not. But we had time to prepare and get dug in, and when they did hit us, it didn't move us. Let's put it that way.
So they, when you caught hell, they'd come down, or did you guys start working your way north?
We moved quite a bit, few miles in, but then we dug in, and we had a lot of air protection. That's one thing we had, and by that time it was no Sunday walk or anything, but it was.
What, once again, for somebody like myself who's never been in battle or in the thick of battle, or others that'll watch this tape, what goes through your mind? I mean, particularly when the officers say, "You be prepared, we're going to catch hell," knowing that you're going to go into harm's way, and then you're in the thick of it. What's a person think, or what's he?
I don't know what the first time you don't know what to think. Well, after you're shot at a few times, it comes back real quick. You take cover and protect yourself, and protect the guys on the side of you, or in the back of you, or something in front of you. And it just, to me, it's just a deal that comes off every day. You just have to try to be prepared and keep your mind on what you're doing instead of wondering about what's going on at home and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It just
Did it ever get any easier, or you ever get used to it? I mean, after all these battles you were in, did you ever get callous to it?
I don't know whether you do get callous to it. It's still get a buddy that, well, I never got too acquainted with any of them, because I started and then I'd lose them, and it was worse. And you knew them and called them by nickname or whatever it was, and that was it. I mean, you just, and if he got missing in action or something, it's just one of those things.
Wow.
I mean, it's. It just. I don't know how to express myself, but I know it was hell. That's all I can say about it.
Fair enough. So from there, after that battle, then you guys started working your way up.
Then
France.
we went through the Sigfield line, and that was easy because we come in on the back side of the Sigfield line, and they was pointed, the guns was pointed the other way.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So that was, and it was scrimmages, but I mean nothing. I think it was after we got across through the Sigfield line, we was going into gun emplacement and pulled off of the trail and run into a personnel mine field.
Oh, your truck did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Of course, we had sandbags on the fenders in that, but it blew my front tires out. And of course, with a half track, you could still maneuver, and I got out of that, which that's where I was told to go. It wasn't my fault.
Yeah. Everybody was okay. Anybody get injured?
No, when I started hitting them, running over, and I stopped and told everybody stay in. And the gun corporal says, "Listen to your driver. He knows what he's doing. Just keep your head down and keep quiet.
Now, how many would be in your crew there?
There was 9 with myself. There was 8 of us.
Wow.
And 9 with myself, and I didn't stand guard or anything at night because you didn't know when you was going to have to move. But if in case we needed, I had the 50 caliber mounted on the turret on the rider's side that I could handle, and for protection. And
Wow.
It was good crew. It was all brothers. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah. Now, once you would get into a situation and have to set up, how long would it take you to set up your gun? And
it didn't take long.
Oh,
You get out to it, dig it in, and depends on the terrain. If you was in some brush, you was camouflaged quite a bit more. But out on the open land, if you'd dig in and take a camouflage net and cover it, and cover your half track, and just it took more work than
yeah.
we weren't there long enough to do too much of that, but we had done it.
Now, once you guys came over the Ziegfeld line, was there a sense that you guys were winning this thing, or
we was moving, and then when we crossed the Rhine, that's when we knew that it was getting.
Yeah. Now, did the fighting get any tougher once you crossed the Rhine? Now that you're in Germany, and
no, it
really, yeah,
because Hitler didn't have he had the planes, but he didn't have the gasoline and those autobahns that he put, they was mammoth. But we blew up the bridges. He didn't have the air power anymore, and they couldn't use the autobahns for transportation. And Black Forest, what they call the Black Forest, he had planes stored in there, and no fuel petrol to run them.
Gotcha. Oh, okay.
It's just.
So things started moving pretty quick once you crossed the Rhine, then. Yeah.
You got. I myself did, and I think my crew did too, and several of them. I mean, our officers were moving too fast. We're going to get careless, and that slow down and keep your head. Don't get out and go 20, 30 miles a day just to. But it. Just lucky, I guess. The dear Lord was with me.
Yeah.
Then when we got, I guess that's about all the battles that there's probably missed some, but.
Once you got into Germany, what route did you guys take then?
We headed toward Munich.
Okay.
And we got into Munich. Well, we helped Dachau.
Oh wow!
We seen that was guard and of Dachau.
If you don't mind, if you'd like, can you describe what that scene was like and what you guys came across?
It was. It stunk from death and that, and I got pictures of it in the Dachau magazine, or the book that I got, and boxcars of just bodies, dead bodies lined up to be cremated.
How was that for you? Because I know you guys, obviously you were trained for battle and fighting and such, but there was probably no preparation to come across something like that.
It wasn't. Which we heard rumors what it was like. I mean, but you can't imagine what it was like. they would, when they seen us, or well, I forget who was there, what outfit was there first, but we was second. And they'd just come running. I was sure glad there was a fence between us. We'd probably got mobbed, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them either.
Yeah.
It just, but the Jews and the Poles, and this book tells all about that, how many was, and it was, how any one man can be so cruel or crazy. He was crazy.
Yeah.
And then in Munich, it was over with.
That's where you were in Munich when the war ended?
Mm-hmm. We was outside of Munich.
You remember that day, getting word? Was there a celebration and anything?
Yeah. Well, during the meantime, outside of Munich, we'd going up and I run across a big warehouse. And, well, our orders were to inspect it, see what was in it. We stopped and I radioed in ahead, told them where it was at. And guys got out and took guns and that. And I was manning a machine gun, and they broke this lock on this door, and it was full of liquor. Benedictine and everything. So I called the old Captain Capes. What I missed, Captain Capes was our first sergeant when we went overseas. And he got, we lost our captain with a landmine. And he got to be charge of the anti-tank company. And they made lieutenant out of him. But he said, only way I'll do it if I can stay with my boys.
Mm.
And we all went overseas together, and then he made captain. And he was just like the rest of us, a good G.I. Joe, but on back we called him Sir, and on the line we called him Capes. and I got the company headquarters of the company and told him what we found, and he says, where are you at? And I got the map out and told him, and he says, stay there. He says, I'm going to bring a truck up. And we loaded that up with liquor. It was a 6x6 too, champagne and everything. And he put an order out, anybody that broke into this before the war was over would get court-martialed. And who was the first one to break into it? The mess sergeant. He got loot. And Capes stood by his word. He court-martialed him and shipped him out of the company. But when that war was over with, I don't know, I thought I was going to be an alcoholic.
Fair enough. Huh?
Drunk for about 3 days or longer, I think.
Oh, after all you've been through, that must have been such a relief.
It was something. Well, then they got into the rationing tour home, the ones with the most points.
Oh, okay, yeah. Uh-huh.
And that, and his driver got to go. And when he got to be lieutenant, he come to me and wanted me to take a squad instead of driving. Take this squad, and he would put a driver on. And I said no. And he asked me why, and I said, well, I'm just one of them here. I said, I don't want to be in command, but I want my say, and I get my say, and and that's the way I want to be. And he always called me Willie.
Huh.
And he said, Willie, you know, you only get one chance. He said, if you don't take it, you'll never get another one. I said, I understand. I don't want that chance. I said, I want to be left alone. So then we got into Munich, and his driver was being sent, and he come to me and he says, there's no rank in it for you, but he says, will you be my driver?
Huh.
And I said, yes, sir.
Huh. Well, now how close are you point wise from going home? Did you still?
I don't know,
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't know how they run that point
Yeah.
deal. I mean, it just, I thought I had plenty of points.
Yeah,
which I
you would think
probably
after
did.
all you'd been through that you
And,
would.
So then I said goodbye to my squad and drove the Jeep then, drove him around. Well, going through Old Munich through the wall and went to New Munich, and I seen this people walking, and what they was doing, they was taking their ammo and guns and rifles to the town square, and they was being destroyed, burning them and tank running over them.
Huh.
And but I got to see a lot of Munich by doing that, and
Oh, interesting.
we saw Hitler's beer hall and all that. I mean, it just which if I hadn't, I wouldn't have
Right, yeah.
got to see a lot of that
Sure,
stuff.
yeah. Huh. How long were you his driver then?
Up until we were sent home.
And how long were you then? So you guys converted then to the occupation
the
forces, right?
Occupational forces.
Okay.
I was his driver until we all come back. See, the 45th was transferred to the 103rd. The 45th, all the younger, we was replaced, I don't know how many times. And the 103rd, we was transferred to the 103rd, and then they took the newer guys and put them in the 45th and sent them back to States and went to the South Pacific.
Oh boy.
And we went over at the 45th and come back as the 103rd. And which it hurt, but I was so glad. I knew I was going to get home.
Well, after you talked about the 45th transferring over, was there any talk after the war ended in Europe of you guys going over to the Pacific, or
No, not.
oh, none.
We knew that.
Oh, okay.
We hadn't, and then.
Well, then how long were you in Europe then, in occupation forces before you came?
I was home the last, September. The war was over with
In May.
May. We left in July, I'm pretty sure, to get rid of equipment and this and that. Because I was home in the last of September. So it was June or July when we left. And during the meantime, I was awarded the Bronze Star.
Oh, really?
And what it was for, they didn't call it, I called it the Battle of the Caves, but it was for, the letter don't read it that way, but they called it the Battle of some city and town in Italy, but I figured then what it was for, but that.
Was that for your actions of driving supplies?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Into the.
Done that.
Wow.
And I got the Bronze Star, and I felt that I didn't earn it. Those guys that had to stay up for the ones that, but it was nice to have.
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Yeah. And the ship ride back to the States was uneventful.
It was rough.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, we come back on Kaiser's 90-day. If the pumps ever quit pumping, with a sunk. That old Atlantic in September and October in the winter and the fall.
Oh, right, yeah,
Really rough.
Yeah.
And it was rough. I was so seasick that they wouldn't let us out on deck or anything. It just, all the troops down there and vomiting. Oh man, that was. I think that was worse than a lot of the stuff overseas.
Yes, I've heard that. A lot of, they said some of the waves were scarier than some of the battles they were in. Yeah.
That's right.
Where did you land in the States then?
I landed back in Newport News,
Okay.
Virginia, and I was made up my mind. Well, during the meantime, I didn't coming back and in Munich. What was I going to do? And a few of us get together and talk about re-enlisting, because then they would give us $500 for re-enlisting, and $500 was a heck of a lot of money then, when you're only getting $50 a month.
Yes.
And so I come off of the ship and down the gangplank, and I was looking for some ground, and all it was asphalt and cement. And I walked over a ways and flipped the barracks bag off and got on my hands and knees and kissed the blacktop and
Oh, wow.
pat on my shoulder, and I looked around, and damn second Louis. That bar was so bright it put your eyes out, that gold bar, and he says, "Soldier, don't you know there's a war going on?" And I got up and looked him eye to eye like I am you, and I said, "How in the hell would you know?" He turned around and walked off, and I made up my mind right then. If this is the Army today, I want no part of it.
Sure, yeah.
But I've regretted it a lot since then too.
Is that right? Yeah.
Because I've had over there 3 years. I mean, 6 years in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I regret it, but who knows? I never went through with it. So.
Yeah, right. So the Newport, did you go back, were you discharged there, or did you go back?
I was loaded a train and went to Fort Sheridan, Illinois, and was discharged there, and it was on a weekend, and they wouldn't do anything. And so then I wrote my folks and told them I was coming home, but didn't know when.
Yeah, right.
And I didn't have any money to call them. And so we loaded on the train and went to Fort Sheridan, Illinois. And well, as I say, we got my discharge. Then they paid our train fare from there to, I went back to Carroll, Iowa, which is 20 miles from where I lived, and rode the train back. And I got off the train so glad to be back in Iowa that I forgot that I unloaded on the south, and I started walking. The train was about a quarter of a mile. The track was from a quarter mile from the town, and I was getting out of the town, so I went the wrong way. So I was supposed to go north, and so I got my bearings and walked back and got to Highway 30, and I knew where I was at then, and stopped at a truck stop there to get. It was 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and got me a cup of coffee, and guy come by, and he said, "Soldier, is this seat taken?" I said, "No, sir." He says, "Going or leaving?" I said, are you going or coming home?
Yeah.
And I says, I'm coming home. And he congratulated me. He says, where are you headed to? And I said, I'm headed for Auburn. That's 7 miles from home. And he says, well, I'm going to Lakeview, Iowa, which is on the same highway. And he says, love to give you a ride.
Wow.
And I took that. And so we had a nice visit with him, and he was nice. But homecoming, I mean, with my parents was good, but I mean, they, that trip we went on to Washington D.C. was more of a, to me, a homecoming
Is that right?
than
Yeah.
anything. We weren't treated the best,
Yeah.
really. I don't think any of them were. The Vietnam was, or the Koreans weren't, and the Vietnam there wasn't either. But I think we was treated better than probably the other two. But
Yeah. But how was the actual homecoming? I mean, coming home to your folks, seeing your folks, and being home, and that must have been
it
nice.
was great.
Yeah. And
I had a girlfriend that wrote me all the time and that, but found out that she wasn't very faithful when I was over there. and that broke off in a hurry. She wanted to get married before I went overseas, and I wasn't going to. And I'm glad I did now.
Yeah. But it must have been nice to be home and sleeping in your own bed, and mom's home cooking, and
I went. In fact, he took me right to the folks' farm.
is that right?
And they was out in the yard. So we talked late that night, and Mom says, well, your room's still upstairs there where it always was. And I said, okay. And I forgot to tell her to when she woke me up, don't touch me, holler, or do anything, but don't touch me.
Yeah.
And I was sound asleep, and somebody shook me, and I just come uncorking across, hit her in the face, broke her glasses, knocked her down, and I hated that worse than anything. Because when you woke somebody up for guard or on parole or patrol or something, you never touch him, shook him. You took your butt or your rifle or something to wake him up to get going. It's just.
Oh boy. Well, along those lines, we know today, there's that post-traumatic syndrome. Do you think you experienced any of that? How was that? I guess the next question is, how was that transition going from the military life and everything that you had been through and experienced back to civilian life? Was that much of a transition for you?
I thought it was. It didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah, but I mean, how did you feel? I mean, were you? You talked about how your mom woke you up. I mean, were you experiencing any of the effects, nightmares or anything?
I did. I had some nightmares at times. It took a while to get. You don't want to dwell on it, think of it. There was some things I don't want to talk about.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's life.
Yeah. And how was it, speaking of talking about that, did your mom or your folks ever sit down and talk about what they were going through while you were overseas? Did they ever express their...
No, they never asked me. And Dad one evening, he says, tell me about it, son. I said, no. I said, all I can say, it's hell.
Yeah.
when they never asked me anymore. It's just-
Yeah. Did they ever talk about how they were, what they went through? I mean,
Well,
were there-
yeah, they was wondering too about, you know, if I, what I was going through.
Yeah,
They never, they, when get a letter from them, they wouldn't say how you're doing or anything. Hope you're well. That's the only thing they would say.
Yeah.
Which,
So then you're back home now, and you said you weren't quite sure what you were going to do. What did you, where'd you go from there?
I thought I'd go to Dames, Iowa, to agriculture college and take an ag degree. And I signed up. The more I got to think about it, I can't sit down and study. It's not there in my.
Was it not there because that's just the type of person you were, or do you think from your experiences?
No,
Or?
just you know what I was going through.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Getting
Right.
readjusted. I guess
Okay,
that's
okay.
what I want to say, and I didn't. And I had a uncle that had a truck line, and he hauled a lot of cattle to Chicago. And I went to work for him, and I done that for about 6 months, and I quit that. I just didn't.
Yeah.
I was lost. And then I got to going with a girl, and she was an accountant. And she wanted me to, being raised on the farm, knowing grain, she wanted me to be a co-op manager. And so I went, it was farmland then, and I went to Kansas City and talked to a couple of guys down there, and they said they had I told them I just got back about 1.5 years from the service, and they said, well, we got a place for you if you want to try it. And I went into that, and from then I retired here, and I was in Iowa I was in Kansas and Iowa and Colorado, and I retired here in '86.
After how many years altogether were you with in the business?
Gee, I was here 10 years. I was, I don't know, well, I got out in 45, and I got married in 50. And probably 52, 53, I went into co-op management. Been with it till.
So a good 30 plus odd year career.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You got to stop and think when I got married. I got married in 50. Mm-hmm. I lost my wife in '97, so I've been with her for a few years.
And children, grandchildren, great grandchildren?
Had one son,
Mm-hmm.
and I got two granddaughters, and this is the youngest one. She's getting married the 25th of this month. She won't graduate until December of this year, and she'll have 5 years. She's accounting, what do they call it? It goes through books.
Oh, CPA?
CPA. Of course, she has to take her test,
Yeah.
but that's what she'll have 5 years in. And she's been going, straight through.
Yeah.
She'll graduate from the University of Illinois. She wants to go to work for John Deere, and that's where John Deere gets her.
Yeah.
They're accountants from.
Yeah.
So I only had the one son.
And your other granddaughter, what is she?
She got married a year ago, and she's a school teacher. Found her dad's footsteps, and the youngest one's found her mother's. So.
I'll be darned. Through the years, have you kept in touch with any of the guys that you served with, or gone to any sort of reunions or anything like that?
We used to have them in Denver, the 157 and a tank, but when Felix Sparks left us, then it died, and Captain Capes was from Golden, and I haven't heard from him for 10 years or better. I don't know what. We just send Christmas cards, but I don't know whether he's around or. And I'm not that I don't want to. I just. Well, I don't know what to say. I just don't want to do it. I mean, it's just. And it's me probably more than anything, but I never in the service. I never made overseas. I didn't make friends because I knew what it was, what to lose one.
Yeah. Have you ever had a chance since then to ever go back to Europe and retrace your steps at all? Or
no, I always wanted to go back to Munich, but I just never had the money to go back there. As I say, I lost my wife in '97. She had a double lung transplant, and she never smoked. And I quit smoking in 1950. But she figured it was from the fumigation of the corn and the wheat. And we got a call. And she had 3 years. She lived 3 years. But it was supposed to, a young man in a car accident in Denver. Both lungs were good, but when they removed the lungs from him, one was damaged, and so she only got one lung, and then she got a blood clot.
Wow.
But that's life.
Yeah. Well, Gerald, we'll start to wind down this interview. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to talk about, or any stories that have kind of floated to the top as we've been sitting here talking that you want to bring out? So hopefully that we've rounded out your story as best you can, or do you think we've pretty much covered it?
I think we have.
Okay. Well, my last question I always like to ask in these interviews is, how do you think that period of time that when you're in the military, did it change your life, affect your life, play a role in your life, or do you just see it as just a chapter in your life that you went through? How would you answer that, do you think?
Well, as far as life, I don't think it affected my life any, because next month, or in August, I'll be 90 years old, so I can't say that it affected my life. But and whether it changed me, probably. And but I just I felt it was something I had to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want to, but I wouldn't go through it again.
Yeah. Well, very good. I want to thank you for sitting down to tell your story today, but just as important, I want to thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you.